Recently, I was at some van life events and people kept commenting about my maps and said I should do a video about it. So here's that video. On the back of our van, on one of the doors, actually on both of the doors, on the other door is a map of Canada. On this door, you've got a map of the United States and a map of northern Canada and mostly Alaska. Now, if you take a look at this map, it's actually multiple layers. So these are magnets. If I take the magnets off, there's a blank layer, which is basically for this year. I don't know how well this is going to show up in the video. Then this layer is blue. This is the 2024 map. So you see those blue lines. That's our path that we took in 2024. The next layer is 2023, which is the yellow line. It was a little bit shorter trip. And the final layer is pink, and that was our first major trip that we took in 2022 that we went over 10,000 miles. Seems like most of our trips tend to get really close to or over 10,000 miles. So how did I do this map? Well, first off, you've got to find maps that actually will fit on the back of the van doors. And that's tough. You try to find a map that's as big as possible, but small enough that'll fit on the van doors. And I'll put links to these. They're the best I could find. If you find a better map, please let me know. Please make a suggestion in the comments, because I'm always up to upgrading. This is the largest US map I could find. So we take that down. On here is a piece of polycarbonate, and behind that is the map. And the map has also been laminated. I took it to an office supply store and I had them put nice thick laminate on all the maps. And then I put it behind a piece of plexiglass. I'll put up on the screen the size of the plexiglass. Now the map is held up by this center bar and two other thumb screws that hold it tightly against the curve of the van door. So if I take off that plexiglass, you see that I cut it to go around the door handle. Now I'll put on screen the thickness of this plexiglass, but the map is taped to this plexiglass, and the map itself is also laminated, so that if water or moisture does sneak behind here during a rain, it'll dry out and it won't cause a problem to the map. Now, when you buy the maps, they might say that they're laminated, but it's a very thin laminate and not good enough. So that goes back on there, and it actually fits down in the groove in this bottom piece. And right here, I took off the panel that I have on my back door, and I actually put T-nuts there. So I've got two T-nuts that stick out a little bit here, and then this piece of wood goes across and screws in right there. And that holds everything together. Now the magnets, I've got really strong magnets that I use, and I also am using these little stick-on pieces of metal. Those stick-on pieces of metal are the same things that you would buy to put on the back of your cell phone to use it for a cell phone holder, for one of those magnetic ones you can put in your car. I just bought a bunch of those, cleaned off the surface first with alcohol so that it would stick really good, and then I stuck those on, and those hold up my overlays. So let me put this back together. what I got to hold this up against the van door is a 1/4 bolt with a hurricane nut. It's basically just a big wing nut. So that bolt, as long as it goes in 1 or 2 turns, then the wing nut will go all the way down and hold it in place. So this is a really good solution. And this goes right into a riv nut that I put in to hold the panel on the back door. And that's really just there to hold it tight, to try to keep as much moisture out of there as possible. Then I bought some really strong magnets. I think these are 80-pound magnets. I'll put a link in the description. You know, the thing with magnets, you don't want them too weak, you don't want them too strong. They got to just be right for your application. So these stick really well, and they have to be able to hold up multiple layers of the polycarbonate material. These are all my overlays. There's actually 4 separate sheets here. And these magnets are strong enough to hold them up even through 4 sheets. I think I was able to do 8 sheets, maybe 9 sheets, and the magnets still held. So the magnets are really strong, but the polycarbonate is very thin. I'll put on the screen the thickness, and I'll also put a link in the description of where I got it from. So let me put these magnets on. And the other thing that's nice about this is as you're traveling, you can use a dry erase pen and you can draw where you're going and where you've been, and then simply erase it. I like to do that so I can keep track of my travels as time goes on. If you've seen some of our short little travel videos, I may have shown you this map and shown you where we're going and where we've been. And it's really easy to do with the dry erase pen. And thankfully, this thing fits right down there in the door handle. You take a look up here, we've got a map of northern Canada and Alaska, and down here, of course, the United States. I'm planning a trip in 2027 to travel from Key West, Florida, all the way up to Dead Horse, Alaska, visiting lots of places along the way. And we will then continue from Dead Horse to Tuyuktuk, and then across Canada to the northern United States, and then finally come down the East Coast back to Florida. If you're interested in that trip, please subscribe. I'll be giving out more information, and maybe we could have a little caravan of folks to travel together on that trip, or at least for parts of that trip. So please subscribe, and more information will come out as time goes by.